presents Professor Puneet Dwivedi.
I am thankful to the FAO for giving me this opportunity to present my work in this conference. I am also thankful to all the audiences for their time and attention. So with this, let me start my today's webinar. The title of my webinar is Economic and Environmental Sustainability of Transatlantic Wood Pellet Trade, a timely and interesting topic. In 2013, the United States exported about 3 million short tons of wood pellets to European countries so that they could meet European Union's goal of sourcing 20% of total energy from different renewable sources, including solid biomass, by the end of 2020. As you can see from this figure, about 60% of the wood pellets exported from United States went to United Kingdom. To the best of my knowledge, there is no study which has simultaneously evaluated the environmental and economic performance of transatlantic wood pellet trade using a common system boundary and similar set of assumptions. This missing information is essential for policymakers to determine the optimum level of economic incentives needed to promote electricity generation from renewable sources, including solid biomass, but at the same time to avoid any unnecessary burden on consumers in terms of overly generous price support mechanisms. With this in mind, I decided to pursue following four objectives in this research. The first objective was to estimate relative savings in GHG emissions for electricity generated from imported wood pellets instead of coal-based electricity in the United Kingdom. The second objective was to estimate the net unit cost of electricity generated from imported wood pellets in the United Kingdom. The third objective was to estimate the impact of existing policy support mechanisms on transatlantic wood pellet trade. And finally, the last objective and the fourth objective was to estimate the efficacy of existing policy support mechanisms in ensuring economic efficiency. In order to achieve the aforementioned objectives, I developed a case study which had 7 steps. First step was production of loblolly pine in southern Georgia, a very heavy timber producing region of this country. Second objective was hauling pulpwood to Georgia Biomass Wood Pellet Manufacturing Facility located at Waycross, Georgia, using log trucks. And just to let you know that Georgia Biomass produces 1 million tons of wood pellets each year, and all these wood pellets go to European countries for producing electricity. Third objective was manufacturing of wood pellets at the Georgia Biomass Facility. Fourth objective was wood pellet transportation to Savannah Seaport. Fifth objective was, fifth step in the supply chain was transatlantic wood pellet transportation from Savannah Seaport to Immingham Seaport in UK. Sixth step in the supply chain was wood pellet transportation from Immingham Seaport to the Drax power plant in Selby, UK. And finally, the last step in the supply chain was burning of wood pellets for electricity generation. So now I will directly jump into the results because we don't have sufficient time for discussing methods. So as you can see here, the GHG intensity of generated electricity in the United Kingdom ranged from 314 to 274 kg of CO2 per megawatt hour of electricity produced at rotation ages of 12 and 30 years under intensive forest management choice, respectively. The steps: manufacturing of wood pellets at Georgia Biomass Facility, transatlantic shipment of wood pellets from Savannah Seaport to Immingham Seaport, and burning of wood pellets to generate electricity at the Drax power plant, on an average contributed about 44%, 26%, and 9% towards the overall GHG intensity of electricity produced in UK, United Kingdom. The use of imported wood pellets for electricity generation could save at least 64% of GHG emissions with respect to a unit of electricity generated from coal in the United Kingdom. Now moving on to the next slide. The unit cost of electricity generated from imported wood pellets without any price support ranged from US dollar 222 to US dollar 225 per megawatt hour of electricity generated. The unit cost of electricity generated from imported wood pellets was at least 30% higher than that the unit of electricity generated from coal in the United Kingdom. The unit cost related to the steps of electricity generation at the Drax power plant and wood pellet production on an average contributed about 42% and 22% towards the unit cost respectively. The feedstock portion of the cost that includes following steps: feedstock purchase cost, logging costs, and transportation of feedstock from harvested tracks to a wood pellet plant contributed about 19 to 20% of unit production cost of generated electricity on an average. After incorporating a payment of $8.57 per megawatt hour of electricity, uh, and this credit is available in the form of levy exemption certificates. For imported wood pellets, the unit cost of electricity generated from imported wood pellets was still at least 26% higher than that of the electricity generated from coal in the United Kingdom. However, the unit cost of electricity generated from imported wood pellets was about 10% lower than the unit cost of electricity generated from coal in the United Kingdom after incorporating a payment of $70.80 per megawatt hour of electricity generated, and this payment is available in the form of renewable obligation certificates. The unit cost of electricity was about 15% lower than the unit of electricity generated from coal in the United Kingdom after incorporating both payments available in the form of LECs and ROCs. The abatement cost of GHG emissions on an average without any price support under intensive forest management choice was close to $88 per metric ton of CO2 abated. In absence of any price support mechanism, this would have been a minimum additional carbon tax required to promote generation of electricity from imported wood pellets from the southeastern United States in the United Kingdom. However, I found that in the presence of payments through the price support mechanism of LECs, the original abatement cost decreased by about 16% on an average. I also found that in the presence of payments through the price support mechanism of ROCs, the original abatement cost decreased by about 131% and became negative. Additionally, in the presence of payments from both established price support mechanisms of ROCs and LECs, I found that the original abatement cost decreased by about 147% and became negative. Negative abatement costs of GHG emissions indicate that the United Kingdom is making additional payments which are not needed to promote generation of electricity from imported wood pellets, especially from southeastern United States. Therefore, based on negative abatement cost, it can be deduced that an assumption where 1 megawatt hour of electricity generated from imported wood pellets is considered equivalent to 1 ROC is very optimistic in real practice. Ideally, policymakers should consider 1 megawatt hour of electricity generated from imported wood pellets equivalent to 0.64 ROCs or 0.76 ROCs in presence and absence of payments from the mechanism of LEC for ensuring a zero average abatement cost, respectively. This will help in bringing economic efficiency without sacrificing the overall goal of reducing GHG emissions. However, a caution needs to be exercised while deciding this equivalency ratio, as revised equivalent factors suggested in this study is just based on a snapshot of the reality. Other existing wood pellet supply chains, for example wood pellets imported from Western Canada, also need to be considered before finalizing these equivalency factors. And finally, with this, I would like to close my presentation, and I am again thankful to all of you and FAO for your time and attention. And finally, if you have any more questions, feel free to contact me on this email ID, which is puneetd@uga.edu, and I will be more than happy to answer your questions if you have any. Thank you so much for your time and attention. Bye bye.